What is up, everyone? This is Visa, and I am coming at you with yet another deck profile. And as the picture may allude to, this is a deck based around that insanely degenerative but oh so epic card that is Chicken Game. I just want to say before I start, I'm a little bit done with Shadowpot 7 now. I think it's still a great deck. I play it regularly on DN, but I really feel the deck's as good as I'm possibly going to ever get it to. Barring the odd tweak I've made, like taking out Sinister Shadow Games and putting Shadow Hedgehog in, or as some of you have said on comments, playing a second rotor, even contemplating bringing back Gold Sark, or even, heaven forbid, playing Pot of Duality. Outside of all of that, we're not really changing the core of the deck. We're not really changing how it is the deck operates, and we're really not making it all that faster or that noticeably better. That any of these little tweaks are really quote unquote improving the deck significantly. So, unless anyone has an idea in terms of completely restructuring the Shadowpot 7 deck, or if you've got an idea where you think another archetype is going to work better with Jackpot 7 that can offer the same sort of effect and deck thinning, monster control and draw power that Shadol offers, with the cards that we use like Allure of Darkness and Foolish Burial, etc., etc. If someone has an idea like that, please recommend it. I'll experiment with it, I'll give it a try and see what I can create. But for now, I'm going to start moving on to some other alternate win condition decks, and one of my personal favourites is Reversal Quiz. Now, the original, let's just show you quickly. The archetypal Reversal Quiz deck profile looks like that. I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. It's a really solid deck, but it's a little bit slow. That's the one thing I'd say of this deck, is that you rely heavily on stall and slowly whittling down your life points, and you can get done by some of the meta decks. Yes, this deck does actually hold up still in today's format really, really well, but I thought, is there a way of making Reversal Quiz an FTK, so that if you open, you start the duel, you can FTK with Reversal Quiz. And of course, Chicken Race and Pseudospace offer that possibility. Now, versus other Chicken Race FTKs, I've had to make a few adjustments here because some of them are like super aggressive in how they set up. This needs to be a little bit more considered because you need to hold certain cards in your hand come the end. So I'm just going to jump into this and I'll talk you through how this deck plays. I will say, if you open Library, I all but guarantee you the victory. Like, it is so insanely consistent, it's unreal. But let's just jump into this. So 3 Royal Magical Library, ban it, shit's broken. I love this card so much. So whenever you play a spell card, you put a counter on it. You have 3 counters on the card. You can remove all 3 counters and draw 1 card. And as you can see, we are running 37 spells, so you are never going to be short of drawing power. 2 Broken Bamboo Sword. This and the others, they all sort of harmonise with each other, but they do depend on each other as well. One without the other is broken and will not work. So it can be a deadish card, but when you're activating it, you are contributing towards Royal Magical Library's token count, so it does work really, really well. Chicken Game, of course. The important thing with Chicken Game, and I'll quickly just jump down to this Pseudospace. Obviously the combo here is you play Chicken Game, and if you have Pseudospace in hand, you activate that as the field spell. Chicken Game goes to the grave. You then activate Pseudospace's effect, where you banish a card from your graveyard, or a field spell card rather, from your graveyard, and it assumes that effect, which is Chicken Game. Now, not only does Chicken Game allow you to draw 1 card, it also takes 1,000 life points off your total. So 3 Chicken Game and 3 Pseudospace takes 6,000 points worth of damage off your life points. So at the end of your turn, you should be on 2,000 life points, and we'll come into that in a second. 3 Cup of Ace, this card is so RNG based, it's unreal. If you can get 2 of the 3 of them off, you're golden, you've won the game. you know, if your first two end up both being tails, it really does hurt you a little bit. But, you know, it's a Saki deck, so we're going to play some Saki cards. People have got to deal with it. Cursed Bamboo Sword, playing one of these. Try not to overload the deck too heavily with the Bamboo Swords, because, as I said, they are so dependent on each other and can just be dead cards in the hand without the other. What Bamboo does, though, is when you equip it to Royal Magical Library, you can return another Bamboo Sword that's already equipped to it. So if you go Library, Bamboo, Cursed, you can detach Broken Bamboo and then reattach it. So for 2 cards worth, you're getting another free draw because you're activating 3 spell cards. So it's really, really good for that. Fuma Shuriken is the dead card in the deck. Basically, Fuma, what you do is you set the 3 Fumas face down on the field, and then you activate Reversal Quiz. You call a card. 99% of the time, it's going to be spells. And when Fuma goes to the graveyard, on the next Resolving Chain, it inflicts 700 times 3 worth of damage, so 2100 points worth of damage to your opponent, which is where the 6000 points worth of damage from Pseudospace and Chicken Game comes into play. So, end of your turn, lay these 3 down, activate Reversal Quiz, GG. 3 Golden Bamboo Sword is explanatory. 3 Hand Destruction, I do feel this adds some extra consistency to the deck, because you don't have to be afraid then of dumping the spare Royal Magical Libraries, or maybe the odd Cup of Ace that you don't want anymore, or a Terraforming that's, you know, no longer relevant because you've used all the field spells, or you've got all the field spells in hand or in the graveyard or whatever it might be. So Hand Destruction just adds some consistency. I'm only running 2 Into the Void. I'm tempted by 3. But with 3, I feel you run into it more frequently. And whilst drawing a card is not a problem, I feel opening multiple Into the Voids in your initial 5 card starting hand is dangerous and can end up with you resigning, quitting the game before you've even finished your first turn. Which is not the point of an FTK deck. You want your opponent to quit before you finish your turn. 1 Day of Peace. Again, don't be afraid to drop this card with Hand Destruction. I'm only playing this as a fallback, just in case shit goes insanely pear-shaped and I have to hold on 1 more turn to pull off the OTK. I'll play 1 Day of Peace. But on the whole, this is like the emergency backup card. I would just dump this into the graveyard with Hand Destruction and not, give 2 shits about it. So do be careful with that, because obviously if you do play 1 Day of Peace, you can activate Reversal Quiz, but Fuma Shuriken won't do any damage to your opponent, so there's absolutely no point in doing that. 1 Duality, because you're only wanting this duel to go 1 turn. So the 1 Duality is great because it does mean you can pick out the specific spell card that you need, whether it be another field spell, whether it be Terraforming, so you can get multiple spell cards off the Royal Magical Library, whether it's that Hand Destruction, that Golden Bamboo Sword, whatever it might be. Duality works fantastically with the deck. Pseudospace I've already explained. I played 2 Reload. You are always going -1 with Reload, so do remember that. Even though it's a +1 counter on Royal Magical Library, unless it's the 3rd counter, it is still -1. So it's only 2 as opposed to overloading it with Magical Mallets and 3 Magical Mallets and 3 Reloads. I just prefer this. I think it works a little bit better. I don't really like Mallet as a whole, and I feel Reload's the better option of the 2. 1 Reversal Quiz, obviously the win condition along with the 3 Fuma Shuriken. As I explained, you set the 3 Fuma, you activate Reversal Quiz, you're going to be calling spells 99% of the time. So, yeah, self-explanatory. Spellbook Organisation, this is, I'm playing 2 of these, and if there's a card I'm not 100% certain with, it probably is Organisation. I think I could get away with running 1 as opposed to 2, but what at the moment I do like about this card is you can play it and reorganise the top 3 cards in your deck. So if you have, say, an Upstart Goblin in hand, or say you're just running short of magic cards in hand, and you need to be a bit more selective with what card comes out next. Maybe Royal Magical Library's got a broken bamboo sword attached, and you need that golden bamboo sword next. Play Organisation, rearrange the top 3 cards of your deck, and then get that card that you need next, just to extend your play. 3 Terraforming, obvious. 3 Upstart Goblin, because have some life points, and the MVP of the deck, Wonder Wand. This card is super important. Obviously you're going to be equipping it to Royal Magical Library because there's nothing else for you to equip it to, but what it allows you to do is send Royal Magical Library to the graveyard to draw 2 cards. Alright, that's obvious, that's self-explanatory, but what it does is if you have multiple bamboo swords attached to Royal Magical, when you send Royal Magical Library with Wonder Wand to the graveyard, all those cards go to the graveyard, and then your 5 spell trap slots just open up. That's the, I was thinking how to get round that, because these cards, these bamboo cards would just sit here and not do anything. And I thought, well, if I ran 1 Wonder Wand, I could just get the extra 2 cards, but importantly, clear the back row so I can set, and then activate. So there you go. That's the Reversal Chicken Game Quiz, whatever, name deck. I'm calling it Reversal Chick for the time being, but only because I can't think of anything better. Yes, it is massively degenerate, because Chicken Game and Pseudo Space as a combo is massively degenerate, but the deck is insanely consistent if you open Library. Like, insanely consistent. I'll quickly go over the side deck. As normal, my side deck is more about ideas, things you can play in the deck. 2 Summoner Monk, I have play tested it, I do not like it, but it's still there, and as such, Allure of Darkness is no longer in the deck as well. I personally don't like it. I'm sure there'll be people who think it's a guarantee. You're basically ensuring you've got a Royal Magical Library on the field within your first turn, but losing a spell card early on is dangerous, because you need every single spell card at the start to get Royal Magical Library up and running. Once you're 20 or so cards through the deck, it's easy. It is just solitaire. You are just playing cards, and you're making sure you're activating Library's effect. But at the start, it's so important to get him going, and I feel wasting a spell card is not optimum. So Allure's in the side deck as well. 3 Dark World Dealings. It's another draw card, but I'd rather play the 2 Into the Void than the 3 Dark World Dealings. I feel, again, for the same reason as Summoner Monk, you're throwing away a card that you need, so I don't see the point in it. 3rd Into the Void, 2 Reversal Quiz, or 2 extra Reversal Quiz, 1 extra Spellbook Organisation, 1 Vylon Matter. I was tempted to play this, because then it meant I wasn't afraid of dumping my Fumas to the graveyard with hand destruction, because I could play Vylon Matter, put all 3 of them back in the deck, and still draw a card, and still get a spellbook, a spell token activation on Library. Let me know if you guys test that out and how you feel it works. I'm still not sure. And the card I deliberately glossed over is Prohibition. Again, this is used in a couple of other anti-meta decks that I run. When I initially was coming up with the build for this, I was running Prohibition and prohibiting Mystical Space Typhoon, but that was with a slightly different build of deck as well. I feel this FTK's turn 1 so consistently you don't need to run Prohibition. But it is a thought. You can activate it, ban Mystical Space Typhoon, and what it does is it just buys your back row that extra turn, so then you can activate it in the next go. Say, for instance, if you've played 1 Day of Peace and you can't activate Reversal Quiz and Fuma Shuriken that turn, you can play Prohibition, stop MST from happening, and wait till your second turn to pull off the OTK. The only problem with it is monster effects, a Shaddoll Dragon or anything that pops back row leaves you very, very exposed. So it's an idea for a slightly different build of Reversal Quiz I'm going to move on to. But for now, that's the side deck, that's the main deck. The extra as with all reversal quiz decks, is super irrelevant. But as you can see, I've got some super OP cards like Fusionist and the Time Magic Hammer in my extra deck, but it's irrelevant. So let me know what you think about it. I know it's super sacky, but as I've said before, and I am repeating myself, it is insanely, insanely consistent, and I really suggest you do give this a try. If you pull library first turn, you're guaranteed the win. And if not, come back and leave a comment and I'll sort it out for you. Have a very good day. Thank you.